Well, my parents were separated before I was even born. It was sort of a one-night sort of thing, except it was in the day. Anyways, I always knew who he was. I mean, I would see him pass by every day. Of course, who doesn't? But I never really knew him, and he wasn't really around. I mean, around. I went to an expensive school, and there were a lot of boys there, sons of rich and famous. And one day we were on the playground, and this one kid, Epiphas, he goes to me, "So, Phaeton, blah, blah, who's your father and what does he do? Blah, blah, blah." So I tell him, my father's the sun. And he says, "Tell me another." And I tell him, he's Phoebus Apollo. My father is Phoebus Apollo. And he just basically trampled me. Basically beat the shit out of me. I was lying. So I go home and I say, "Mom, this happened." And I'm like, "Well, if it's true, how come there's no proof of it?" And she says, "Hear me, my child. For the fiery orb you see that crosses the sky each and every day, whose heat enlivens and enables the world, and who orders our days and our nights, is indeed your sire. Believe me, my darling." Blah, blah, blah. So she asks me to go to the valley where my father works every morning, and just to ask him to set things straight. And so I set out. And finally, I get there, and the hill is steep. And there he is, all shining and golden. Can't even look at him, he's so bright. And you know what he says to me? He says, "Welcome, my son. Speak, Phaeton, to your father." I can't even tell you what this was to me. So I tell him everything, I just spill my guts. He listens to me, and he says, "Let me grant you a favor. Whatever you ask shall be yours." And he swears to it. Now, there is only one thing I really want, and, I mean, it's obvious, right? I say, "Give me the keys to your car. I want to drive it myself across the sky. It's my turn, you promised. I want to light the world today. Hand it over." And he does. He hands over the reins, but he won't stop giving me advice. Like, don't fly too high nor too low. Stay in the tracks, go slantwise, on and on. But I didn't listen. It was over before it began. It was chaos. Okay? Out of control. My knees were weak, and I was blind from all the light. I set the earth on fire, and I fell. And I was just destroyed. Completely and utterly destroyed.